I am Fire Safety Council Program Director and Director of Hazardous Fuels Program. And I have been working on this we'll receive ahead of time to try to so you have your phone, use the QR code. Either way, leave a reminder since we're done. At the end of the meeting for Q&A. Chris, sorry, from the supervisor's office to talk a little.
I can do that pretty loud. Does that work? Can you hear me now? So thank you all for being here this evening. Thank you, Amanda, for the introduction. I'm here this evening as well as joining by Zoom. And my name is Kristen Artie. As Amanda said, I am Supervisor Smithion's Policy Director. And in that capacity, I work with him on fire and at the request of the Fire Safety Council, our office helped facilitate logistics for this meeting. I want to say thank you to the City of Saratoga for providing this room, which is central to the fifth. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the fifth supervisory district, it starts in Palo. Is significant. Supervisor Smithien is strongly supportive of has pursued in updating the CWPP from 2016. There's a lot of project partners. I know we have many of the partners at the county. County that's working with Fire Safety Council, they're the lead of this effort. And as evidence of sort of his support, the most concrete was to support the Fire Safety Council's making that is updated. We're actually coordinating and moving forward with the initiatives and things that will be identified in the plan once it's been updated. And so that was an action that the board took. We're very hopeful that they will get those grant funds from the state. And with that, again, welcome everyone this evening. And thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Why not? Good evening, can everybody hear me? Yes. Again, I would like to echo Chris's comments and thank everybody for taking time out on the 1st of December project for the county. And we're very pleased to have the opportunity, our first of 5 town hall meetings here tonight. So hopefully we'll do our best to get it right. And of course, we'll fine tune as we go along. But we appreciate everybody coming here. And I wanted to fill in, we had hoped to have Congressman Najaf, who's a senior planner with the Office of Emergency Management, and she's actually one of the senior jurisdictional hazard plan. And we have 2 slides, and I'm going to walk you through very quickly. I've got some knowledge, but I'm not a deep subject matter expert on the plan. But it's really fortuitous that the county is doing both their safety element and multi-jurisdictional hazard plan in the CWPP. We think that we're going to have a lot of synergies working with the county and the planning. And so just a little. $100 million in mitigation funding for projects ranging from hazardous fuel reduction projects and microgrids. Currently, 32 million of the 100 million of those projects are under 17 plan is due for an update, and we are looking for input from diverse interests. We would like to promote about creating a safer and more disaster resilient community. Again, the CWP lends itself well. Next slide, please. So finishing up on a jurisdictional plan. 2140. The integration of the plan into the safety element will allow the county here for the CWPP. To the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, CWPP, is that they both focus on reducing wildfire risk and identifying mitigation projects. So we really hope to achieve some synergies. Planning and OEM has been a great partner with us. We've been working on the project already for several months, and we'll go through a little bit more of that in the next slides. First, I also want to thank this project has been funded by CAL FIRE and the SCU unit. And us to lead in the efforts in updating and working with all the partners. So on behalf of CAL FIRE, thank you very much. Ray from CAL FIRE, and he'll walk through what is CWPP.
Thank you, Sam. Okay. So I'd like to start out with describing what a CWPP is, just so everybody has a common frame of reference. A CWPP is a community wildfire protection plan. It came from a Forest Service Act, and it's we'll see out there. Liability. But most importantly, they're a common roadmap for all of us. Like we've seen in the last few years. A set of recommendations. It does not provide any funding. It doesn't provide any CEQA coverage. It doesn't provide any permits. Once the plan is adopted. And the CWPP itself So, yes. Many grant applications will have a question whether or not the proposed project in the application has been described in the CWPP. It demonstrates the CWPP demonstrates that we've had this public meeting, we've had public input, we've planned for consensus, and so it's been publicly vetted, and not just some backroom deal or somebody's great idea in the back. Next slide, please. So a little bit of history. In 2009, there was a CWPP developed, and then East Foothills had one about that same time. And then pretty limited areas. In 2014, Santa Clara County Fire wanted to develop a countywide CWPP. And so the 2016 plan was the final product from that. Now, the got published in August of 2016, and then we had the Wilma fire. And it, in many ways, nullified some of the priority projects. To tweak this, modify it, update it, and then get it to the board of supervisors and fire chiefs for signature. And never got across the finish line. So we know we want to update it here in 2022, 23, and we're going to take some lessons that we learned from before, and there's new laws, regulations. The world is a very different place now than it was in 2016. And it's hard to believe 2016 was just 6 years ago, but since then, I'll point this out. Cal Fire has a top 20 list for acres burned, a top 20 list for fires, and a top 20 list for the deadliest. And since 2016, since that document was prepared, we have 12 new fires that came in. 20 for destructive and 7 out of 20 for deadliest fires. We had a 1 million acre fire just a few years ago. Suppression costs and recovery costs have just skyrocketed. Part of the state and fires themselves. Areas were closed. To go visit grandma, and that impacted a wide range of people. Insurance rates went up, lots of cancellations. PSPS compared to 2016. look at it if you haven't seen it, but it's large, it's very comprehensive. It has a first binder, or the binder in Tennessee. It's a count. Was we did the whole enchilada at once. We did both the overarching countywide document as well as the individual. Their own. From 2016 is that, first off, SWCA, the consultant that prepared this, did an excellent job. And we're using them again. So they are the prime contractors who will be. Or that we should not have. They're now back to becoming issues again, because the brush came back, or they went back to our old ways. So in hindsight, we should have used for monitoring the progress of priority projects. Will become really critical to help spur action, provide updates to the public, the key stakeholders. We didn't have a very strong geospatial database, and that's something that will be rectified in the updates. I mentioned the story map here, and that will be constantly updated and very transparent. And another thing is we missed many like tonight. We're not filling the room. Include more of this larger to address the things I just mentioned for lessons learned. We are going to have a much better, I'll expand on in just a minute. Increased engagement, we're having 5 and we have just a number of different ways for our trying to connect the right people with this process. The story map in the hub is a history chronic that SWCA has embraced, and they've used it. Jurisdictions, CWPPs, and it's if you're not familiar with it, it'll be a web-based map, and where you can embed documents, videos, and a multitude of things. It's a very creative platform. Very user friendly. And then we'll have a project tracking tool. Kind of hold the stakeholders accountable for the things they said they would like to do. We are also integrating this, as Seth had mentioned, with the into key stakeholders every day. Here is the risk assessment map that was included in the 26 data, and there was also a neighborhood-based, neighborhood level risk assessment that was done using NFPA 1144. You can see that there's quite a bit of red there. It's a little more blocky. It's a coarser data set. Next slide. Now, fine scale mapping project, which really became a state of the art set of data that managers, no matter what they do, we looked at that and saw value for hazard mapping, risk mapping, and some other planning. Last year, Santa Cruz County and Santa Clara County it was scale mapping. Data from that has been released. It was completed about a month. And it's all publicly available. So if you go to the org, it's all free there. There's all LiDAR, there's imagery, there's all kinds of GIS data and county here, but they've done Sonoma, Marin, Santa Cruz, and Santa Clara are being finished up now. And next year, Alameda and Mount Costa will be done. And so the risk to compare apples to apples. The consultants who prepared wildlife risk management, and the Santa Cruz Mountain Network, and the San Mateo are the new and improved data set. And obviously, we can't zoom in here, but if you were to do that, okay, it's down to 5 meter resolution. Land fire was 30 meters. So it's going to the neighborhood level. This is not directly related to the CWPP, but you're going to hear about this in the coming weeks. So the State Fire Marshal's Office and the Cal Fire Planning Office are going to be updating the part of all CWPPs and many planning documents in general. Copies of the maps are on the wall. They're They're now being updated, on Monday, the new map. That nature. Those are hazard maps. Those are hazard maps are 30 to 50-year planning horizons, and they do not account for any mitigation work. What the inherent characteristics of a landscape would have in terms of their vulnerability to fire, or fire intensity. Things that they should not be used for. They are for some building code applicability, those sorts of things. Okay. They just give it a big picture. I just want to mention that this is coming out. You can do it online. All right. 2023. Yes.
Small table.
So anyway, next. Okay. So the organization of the CWPP planning process here is that we started out with a management team of a dozen key members. They're the Fire Safety Council, UCA, County Fire, County OEM, Office of Emergency Management, and county planning. Because going back to the hazard mitigation plan and safety element. Fire Safety Council has stood up a PIO as well. Structure up and running and get things to where we are now. To do this. Casting water net, and the public is a key part of that. So we have to advertise those, and we want to get to the point where wildfires are nothing more than just a bad storm. Be within the norm, natural.
Those in the room before tonight, just a raise of hands, how many people have heard about the Saratoga County Fire Safety Council or had any interaction with us? A brief opportunity, give you a little bit of background of what we do. We're actually not a county agency, we're an independent. No profit, but we work very closely with all the agencies, and all the county agencies that are engaged in wildfire activities. What we call our CWPP program, which is community outreach and education. Obviously, during the CWPP update, Certainly, the CAL FIRE grants come from the CCI dollars. We get support and funding, as well as a lot of in-kind services and monetary support from the Santa Clara County Fire Department. How many here are in a Firewise neighborhood or Firewise community? That's a good amount as well, and we obviously are engaged in Firewise and communities throughout the regions here in Santa Clara County. We put on evacuation workshops. Obviously, with COVID, we've really reduced that amount. We hope as we come out of COVID, we'll be more visible. Note about some of our core projects. 2017, 2018, we started and worked with the highway. Part of obviously a large set of partners, CAL FIRE, our partners at County Fire. I want to recognize this with Brad Hartzell here. Thanks for joining us. Some of the projects you may be familiar with are the fuel breaks that we've done on escape route, Shoalsburg escape route, and Walnut Road escape route project. Currently, the biggest project that we're working on is what's known as the $4 million grant. Now, we're the grantee. All of that money doesn't go to the Fire Safety Council. $1,100 property, and it's a combination of forest health, wildfire mitigation, and that's a 3-year project. So we've just started. We've been doing a lot of the planning work. For the last couple of months, we actually started what I would call the quiet phase, non-public phase of this project back. Reaching out to interested parties. And we're glad to talk to anybody that may be interested in being part of that. And then where we are now in the public phase, and we'll be doing meetings next week in San Jose. On the 13th of this month in Milpitas, and we end our community outreach tour on the 15th. Wrapped up, ideally around the June 23. much as possible. And obviously, we'll be releasing we want to encourage your involvement. That's why we're here tonight. Initiated before. One of the big changes in this CWPP from 2016 is we're going to have an inter. And we want to take a few minutes. Our partners at SWCA have provided a demo, and we want to walk you through an example of a story map. It won't be the exact story map that we're going to have, but it's a pretty good example of what a story.
I got it. Thinking about this.
Good evening, everyone. For the Santa Clara County Community Welfare Protection Plan, we'll be developing a project hub site that will be a medium through which we can share information about the project and that the public can share their thoughts and input into the project. We're developing that project hub site and story map to show you a similar deliverable developed partners on the project so that you all can understand what this is. On my screen is from the Three Rivers Bi-State Council Community Welfare Protection Plan. And the hub site and story map for Santa Clara County will So within the hub site, we have a link to the story map, which I will share shortly. We also have posted a as part of this CWPP, and it will provide updates of each of those projects. We can link to community survey, and we'll also have links to other homeowner resources that could be valuable to this community. That includes things like emergency notifications, information on wildfire mitigation measures for to this project. We can also post information on upcoming meeting schedules. The site will be the place where we'll announce the availability of the draft document for review by the public. And then we have contact information for the project team. From the hub site, you can access the story map. A story map is essentially a website that conveys all of the information about the project. For keyword, any website, you can scroll up and down, and you can access this navigation panel along the top. A story map is designed to be very interactive and has a lot, so hence the name story map. It has a lot of map content that you can engage with to learn more about the project. You can zoom in and out. Here is the general location for this particular plan, and they'll be very similar for the Santa Clara plan. We have information We can put information on current wildfires, so this is a dynamic layout where it will show existing and their outcome. We have information on project history, information on the Healthy Forest Restoration Act, and then information on how to navigate, since this might be a new platform that some people have not utilized previously. We also have a page on public involvement, so this is a good place for you to learn hub site where we were previously, links to social media that the Five City Council has information available through. It has a lot of technical information. So this is it. This is where we will provide the wildland urban interface. You can zoom into the map. You can click on each of these polygons. And this will link you to more information that will come up in that section. We also have a section on fire regime. This talks about how each of the different vegetation types would on vegetation, and then about different vegetation. Then we have maps that convey fuel models, so how would each of those different vegetation types on the ground burn? And we have this toggle tool that shows you how vegetation is classified into different. And it will tell you more information about the fuel models. And then if you want to learn more about the fuel model, for a description of each of the fuel models. This section talks about fire history. And if I click this play button, it will move us from 1910 to these areas that are populating on the map of previous fires that have occurred within the. You can click on each of these fires to learn more information about it, what the name of the fire was, and the year. And how many fires occurred in July? If this time period, you can click on this button. How many awesome fires have there been? In June, in May, in August, it will show on the map those particular data. Then we have climate change. We have information on decision support tools that our fire responders utilize. We have models of fire response. Information on who the local response resources are, as well as state response. We have evacuation resources, and you can click for more information. Evacuation route risk analysis that shows within the community which roads are at risk for entrapment or evacuation risk based on features of that road, including things like sinuosity, road surfacing, grade. different zones for evacuation that have been delineated by this particular core team. Urban interface risk and hazard assessment. Again, you can zoom in and out. A heat map. Assessment was completed and the specific findings. And then to zoom in, just keep scrolling, and we have a summary of the positive and negative ratings or components that went into that particular rating. For mitigating that risk. And as we scroll, it zooms us around our project area to look at the various. We have a section on values at risk. These are all of those things that for protection of those various different values at risk. This is a very data each of those values broken down into natural, socioeconomic, hospitals, mitigation strategies are what fall under the wrong feet. Fire management. And those components are restoring and maintaining landscapes, fire adapted communities, and fire response. We're talking about restoring and maintaining those landscapes using methods like hazardous fuel. Within these tables, we have a project description. We identify the priority, but we develop a methodology or approach to implementing that project. We describe what does that serve to do to mitigate wildfire risk. We have a timeline, we have monitoring or maintenance requirements. Projects for hazardous fuels mitigation with each of these components. And planned landscape. We also then identify areas of concern. So delineated by our planning team to address some of these higher risk areas, as you can see. Fire adapted communities. Fire adapted communities focuses on projects related to education and outreach for communities, as well as actions that homeowners can take to address structural liability. You will have a lot of resources. Lots of agencies have developed material that will help inform you all property. And convey that information here through actions for homeowners. Provide pop-ups. So the local fire department, the Cal Fire Department, and other resources that provide that care that takes to a similar table of recommendation. And then projects need to have maintenance and monitoring. And so we have recommendation tables that identify how frequently each of these projects should be monitored or revised. And the timeline for this plan should be considered a live document. The core team will be reconvening every 6 months, every year, to make sure that the project is moving along, that the projects have been implemented, that there are not any hurdles that are preventing implementation. And recognizing when they need to update the document. We also onto your property operators and the fire. A one-stop shop for resources that are specific to Santa Clara County. When the draft document is available for review, it will be posted here and you'll be able to click and it will generate a PDF. And we have this contact us page, so you know who to reach out to for any questions. And then we also provide a goal. Thank you for your time. We think this tool is going to really provide a lot of value to provide the plan, the hub and the spring map to you in the next month or so.
So hopefully, everybody found that informative. Again, that's not going to be an exact replica. Replica of what we're going to come up with, but it'll be close and it gives you an idea. And frankly, we're seeking a good opportunity to make sure that we thank some very important partners. First, I want to thank Chris and Artie and the Board of Supervisors and CAL FIRE for supporting our efforts on the county coordinator. Like any grant process, it's not a guarantee, but we will know before the end of the year. And if we're successful, it will give us a much greater opportunity to take the next phase of the CWPP and actionalize it and Chief Lally and Chief Matheson for the support in that effort. I want to thank Cal here today. Very much thank you for your support. And now we're going to open it up to the audience. And we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to ask any questions that you have.
To recognize for the volunteers we have here today. We've got a great group of high school kids from a program called WAY. Awareness Initiative. So they will be here. We're going to do about a half an hour of Q&A. And then afterwards, we have 3 to help count. Getting some understanding of what your concerns, your thoughts are with CWPP. So after the Q&A session, all right.
Any questions from the audience?
Quiet group. And
All of us here are from firewise communities in the area, and we're wondering if you have specific concerns. To provide that information or feedback.
okay, so if you go to the next slide, Edie, we do have a series of websites that you privacy website and go to our CWPP. You can find all this information too. But we do have a form. You can contact us directly. But we do have that form that asks the CWPP question, and you can. Also on here is the CWPP mailing list. We do have a mailing list put together with periodic updates. If not, you can follow.
Amanda, I also may add that we're going to take all the public questions that we get, such as questions from tonight, and we're going to compile them, we're writing them down, and we're going to ultimately post them and the answers on. Or sure that we post in the FAQ, we'll be able to answer all the questions.
And that FAQ has the current questions that have come to us is found on our Secretary of County website.
He designed to be, like how granular, I guess. Identify every.
I'm gonna give this would be either Chief Matheson or Chief Ore.
I would say, get out of it, put it in Yeah. Hopefully that's something easy, we would just check the box that we've got her done.
How do we put that in? You know, like,
So this- List of projects, advertising them. And remember, this will be a live document. And so we had told her for your area. On that matrix, in fact, and it the next most important thing. On the other hand, give yourself credit for what you're doing. And keep in mind too, that if this is something to a grant opportunity with, having it in there on paper, publicly vetted, et cetera, will put you in a competitive position to get that grant.
I can speak to, Lexington Hills obviously is where you guys are from, and it's one of our annexes, and we have 7 or 8 annexes. When we have our community welfare specialists on board, as discussed the other night, we are going to be managing our annexes, and we will be the advocates for our annexes on those projects, starting with some of the projects we discussed the other night. But that's why having community engagement is important. We have communication, we're looking to try to get communications with other GPO Park, Redwood States. We're all in there together. And one community doing something, another community not being engaged, doesn't connect the dots, doesn't do any good. Resilient watersheds. The process works for our 8 annexes. It's going to be engaging with our communities. And we involved in those communities. There's going to be some collaboration that needs to be taking place, and hopefully they will also have an annex in this since the end of the game. With some projects and multiple annexes, that opens up hopefully grant funding for those a little easier than it's just one small project. And one small.
We all want to answer. I just wanted to add to that too, that's for the fire. Alive and updated, so when there are projects to identify. Stay over here. And I apologize to folks on Zoom who may be able to hear us and not see us. We're doing the best we can.
So as we are encountering some of the more complex projects and problems that we have, I mean, I think our any number of I know we have multiple people coming on, county fire, and if you guys get the funding for your additional headcount, where are the plans right now to where we, to one of your agencies? Is it to the county supervisor's office if we're finding that we're, how is that, what direction is that going in for the coming next couple of years?
stages to the.
Yeah, well, that county planning is taking the lead on the county fire marshal, taking the lead on the SB 2911 access issue. Last time I looked for that, none of the communities except for our county were resolved, completed assessment work. So that the outcome of that assessment the work that you're doing, with crowd doing right now, coming up with your brainstorming and collaboration on different ideas. Is going to be with speed of remedy.
Stores, and as long as that. Too, so if we're not reinventing the wheel all the time, you know, that would be fantastic, but we'll.
Hopefully we'll answer some of those questions too. Time, so when funding does come down the line. The county coordinator program,
I just want to say good on you for being so involved. Many others are that somebody else will figure it out. You guys have really taken an aggressive posture on this.
any more questions?
I just want to agree with my neighbor from Elm Park. Everything that we can do ourselves as neighbors, and what additional support will there be required by the community so we can have a go-to person to help us with these bigger projects. We don't have evacuation runs on county road. So what additional monetary and political support will be required by the community?
Who has the answer to that one?
So.
That kind of stuff. So is there gonna be in the new CWPP, will there be specific people that we can reach out to beyond just you guys? Right, like I know the us all at once, so that we can ask for money, that it can.
We have a fire hand crew. We also have a chipper program that we're trying to put out the opportunity. So should we get a part a lot like all the crowd types, a lot of private roads. We have one county road. On some of those evacuation roads. But as it comes to identifying how we can help them to figure out a better some of you coming up I think, next week. And that's going to be part of my wildfire specialist. And those projects were identified, it's too late, it's not in there. It's going to be updated. Because I believe it's 6 months is the so for your community, yes, they're in the process. Company Tuesday, Thursday next week. But we are going to start becoming engaged in these becoming helpful problem solvers with some of these solutions as best we can. Those issues. Getting complex area.
Yeah, I believe that's.
People populating now, keep having that baby in there.
Right, right. So, you know, obviously the demo had a lot. You see something.
So the answer to that is once the story map is developed and available, it will be housed through county fire. For a short. Data grant, that'll move over to us, so we'll be doing that. Thoughts or concerns? Anyone else? Well, if we don't have any more questions, we do have. County fire and our volunteers to we really appreciate you coming and giving us, providing us your input. Yeah, and we're gonna make the Zoom available as well, but the internet, if it's spotty. For more meetings, so hopefully we'll have a better product.
So for more with, will there be more with Zoom?
Yes. In person, we're just trying to move around the county so that we drive it.
We're doing one meeting in each district, and the next closest meeting is also the community center. So if those folks that are here tonight, you're also welcome.
And I will speak with, okay.
One more question.
Yes.
We're realizing that some of the key stakeholders. And so we're just curious about what's in need of, how they'll be involved in the process.
Just for here tonight, as you mentioned, San Jose Water is, and we're working, right now, we're working and talking to both Valley Water and San Jose Water, and thinking about, do we have individual annexes, or do we combine, for example, all of the water utilities under a single? So nobody is here today physically tonight from them, but they're actually engaged in the project quite heavily.
I was wondering too about some of the Smith and the
And we- as well as EGA. And well, if not, thank you very much. We'll close out the evening, and please stay. We have the room for thank you.